I don't want to hear any more of these lies about reckless spending. We're changing people's lives.
That was Biden today addressing, or should I say screaming and yelling, at the National AFL-CIO convention in Philadelphia. So here to discuss more about his visit and his remarks is Mark Mix, the president of the National Right to Work Committee. Thanks for being here tonight, Mark.
Kara, good to be with you. It's hard to follow that opening of yours. I don't know what we can talk about now, but we'll think of something, right?
Well, thank you. I really do appreciate that. And I do have to ask you, Biden was addressing union workers today. And as much as he claims to love American workers, as fits with tonight's theme, he's actually trying to take away some of their rights to free association, or I guess I should say lack thereof, with the PRO Act. So talk to us about what that is and what it would do.
Yeah, there was a lot going on today in Philadelphia with President Biden. He told a lot of really kind of extreme and stretched facts, but he also talked about empowering organized labor unions. And one of the big pieces of his propaganda and one of his policies and platforms is passage of the so-called PRO Act. And that PRO Act has already passed the House of Representatives with no hearings and no testimony. It's waiting in the Senate. And that bill, first off, would repeal all 27 right-to-work laws across the country. And Kara, those bills are very simple. Those laws are very simple. They simply say that workers have the right to join unions, but no one can be forced to pay dues or fees in order to keep a job. Joe Biden's promising the elites of the AFL-CIO that he wants to impose forced unionism across the entire land. And what that means to those guys in the rooms and at the convention hall there in Philadelphia is tremendously more revenue, as they can force workers in the 27 right-to-work states to pay dues or fees to a union in order to keep their jobs.
And at the same time, as we're dealing with this economy that we're currently in, I see also at your website that it says right-to-work states are actually leading manufacturing, somewhat of a rebound with manufacturing. So talk to us about how these right-to-work states, unless Biden gets his way, but assuming he doesn't, how they've really been leading the way in many regards when it comes to our economy.
They absolutely have. And the president today mentioned the increased growth in manufacturing jobs. He talked about 600,000 new manufacturing jobs. Interesting enough, Kara, the right-to-work states produced 40,000 more new manufacturing jobs and high-paying manufacturing jobs in those states that allow union officials to have workers fired as a condition of employment. So if they don't pay union dues. And so the manufacturing jobs are going to the right-to-work states. The automobile industry is shifting to the right-to-work states. And there, the choice is real clear. Workers can decide for themselves what they want to do as far as supporting a labor union. But he doesn't recognize that. He wants to empower this forced unionism agenda across the country.
And unfortunately, when it comes to a lot of the revenue that they're able to sweep up, they use a lot of it for, big labor political donations to Biden and other Democrats. I think in the 2020 election, it was somewhere around $12 billion, actually, that they had spent, a lot of these big unions. Did workers win at all in that exchange? Their due fees and everything else, or their dues, I should say, did it help workers at all? Because all I'm seeing today is inflation, risk of recession, labor shortages. Things aren't just looking too good.
Yeah, that's right, Kara. If you were a government employee in the United States, particularly a federal government employee, or if you were a unionized construction worker, you probably benefited. But if you were in the energy sector and you were a member of the operating engineers or the electrical workers union, and you were out there in the oil fields or running backhoes and bulldozers on the Keystone Pipeline, no, nothing about what Joe Biden has done since he's been president has helped those rank and file workers that he claims to speak for. I mean, he's put more union members out of work in the energy sector than he's created, that will be created with solar panels and windmills. It's pretty sure of that. When he stops leases on federal lands and stops drilling, he has put a whole bunch of union members out of work. But the bottom line is this: union officials understand that they've got to dance with, as Joe Biden says, I dance with the ones that brung me, as his father used to say in Scranton or in somewhere in Delaware. And so he has given union officials dramatically more power, and they have paid him back. In fact, he admits in this speech in Philadelphia that if it wasn't for them, he wouldn't be the president of the United States. And he's not talking about rank and file workers. He's talking about union officials who control the political money. And as you mentioned, Kara, it's easily to document $2 billion up to $12 billion that union officials spend across the country at the state level, the local level, and the federal level in electing their pet politicians to Congress, state legislatures, county school boards, and city commissions.
It's absolutely mind-blowing to me that I guess these are the talking points the Biden White House is going to be sticking to in this election year. But we saw Biden up there speaking today and kind of hammering home these same points. He says that the energy crisis, it's not his fault. Don't look at him. It's all Putin's fault, even though it started long before the Russian invasion. But also, he talks about he's reducing deficit spending and that actually most Americans are better than ever when it comes to being able to save up money. And I feel like, how does he keep a straight face through all of this? Do you think Americans are going to see through that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you look at, he says Americans owe less on their credit cards and are saving more. That's absolutely false. If you would go to the Bureau of Labor Statistics under the Department of Labor or go to the Federal Reserve Board and look at the statistics, I think there were $70 billion more in credit card debt from Q1 2021 to Q1 2022. And as far as the savings rate was 20.2% of disposable income end of Q1 2021, and now it's roughly about 6% Q1 2022. I mean, how can he stand up there with a straight face, and how can the corrupt corporate media continue to parrot these numbers when it's out there for all of us to see?
Well, Mark, I really appreciate your analysis tonight. Thanks for dropping by.
Kara, I appreciate you talking about this important topic along with many others, frankly.
Thank you.